Live in Western Oregon, this is NBC 16 News at 11.
The mass shootings that claimed 31 lives over the weekend have left two communities with broken hearts. Good evening and thanks for joining us on NBC 16 News at 11. I am Alexis Thrower. 22 people were killed when a lone gunman opened fire inside a Walmart. Just hours later, another lone gunman took 9 lives in Dayton, Ohio. NBC's Wendy Woolfolk has the latest.
We can't let this take over our lives.
Defiant in grief, but determined to overcome.
No, my heart goes out to the families that have family members that they've lost, and especially in the horrific way that they've lost them.
Two communities unified in loss. 22 shot to death in an El Paso Walmart filled with back-to-school shoppers.
They're both heroes because they were doing their job as parents, protecting children.
His son killed shielding his wife and 2-month-old baby boy. The gunman, 21-year-old Patrick Crusius, appearing in court for the first time. The district attorney seeking the death penalty for a crime motivated by hate, according to what he posted online 20 minutes before the attack.
Basically from the initial comments he made in his manifesto.
And in Dayton, Ohio, 9 lives lost when Curtis Betts opened fire on a popular entertainment district just 13 hours later.
Hug your kids and love them. Because you don't know in America now, when they leave, they may not come back.
A somber reality now that mass shootings have become all too common in this country. President Trump will visit here Wednesday. Wendy Woolfolk, NBC News, El Paso.
El Paso and Dayton aren't the only cities experiencing gun violence in the nation. Chicago police are reporting a string of deadly, violent shootings that also occurred this weekend. Officers say gun violence left 7 people dead and 52 people wounded across the city. This was one of the weapons taken off the streets this weekend. Police say they responded to 32 shooting-related incidents since Friday evening. Yesterday, 17 people were shot in 3 separate incidents in the Lawndale area in the span of 2 hours. That forced Mount Sinai Hospital to stop accepting new patients for a time. And on Friday, a toddler was hurt in a shooting after 3 people got into a fight in Inglewood. As the nation continues to reel from this weekend's mass shootings, here are some tips if you are feeling stressed as a result of the tragedies. Experts with the American Psychological Association say it is important to talk about your feelings with a friend or a loved one. And if you are overwhelmed from the nonstop news, just turn it off, step away, and focus on something you enjoy. You may also want to talk with kids about their concerns and share your feelings with them as well. And most importantly, make sure you reassure your child that you will do everything you can to keep them safe and that they are loved. Cesar Sayek, an ardent Trump supporter who sentenced to 20 years in prison today for sending 116 homemade bombs to prominent critics of President Trump. He sent bombs to Hillary Clinton and former President Barack Obama, as well as actor Robert De Niro and the CNN headquarters in New York. Thankfully, no one was hurt and none of the bombs detonated. Sayek was arrested on October 26th near Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and pleaded guilty in March to 65 counts, including using weapons of mass destruction and the illegal mailings of explosives with intent to kill or injure. The online message board where authorities say the El Paso suspect placed his racist commentary and drew inspiration is down tonight, while authorities warn the shooting is only reinforcing a growing crisis, domestic terrorism by suspects espousing white supremacy. NBC's Richard Engel has a story.
The twisted hate authorities say was behind the El Paso shooter's deadly rampage has one fewer platform tonight. 8chan, where the gunman posted his rant, is now offline after internet service companies stopped working with it. The anonymous forum had turned into a bastion of white supremacy, including where the suspect who killed 50 people in 2 New Zealand mosques posted his diatribe. The site's founder, who quit in 2015, tells the New York Times it's a complete negative to everybody except the users that are there. And trying to sort through the extremists who could be planning violence has become a law enforcement priority.
In terms of terrorist ideologies, right now, white supremacist terrorism is #1 in this country.
Tonight, the FBI has 850 open domestic terrorism investigations. 40% involve racially motivated violent extremism. A majority of those deal with white supremacists.
We must shine light on the dark recesses of the internet and stop mass murders before they start.
But we found the ideology that can inspire some to mass murder is taking inspiration from the president. We went to a neo-Nazi festival in Germany a few weeks ago. But what surprised us most is what organizers were handing out at the door.
So they're giving out hats. MGHA. Make Germany hate again.
We found the man who made the hats.
So people are using his hat as a inspiration.
Yes.
Do people here like him? Do you like him?
I like his style.
I think it's deeply disturbing when white supremacists feel like they're taking cues from our commander-in-chief.
Here in Oregon, a gun safety bill that would require safe storage of firearms, ban undetectable and untraceable firearms, and make gun owners take responsibility to report lost or stolen firearms did not pass. State Senator James Manning says he plans on reintroducing the bill next legislative session. He says the bill was taken off at the table as a bargaining tool when Senate Republicans left the session in May.
We're talking about how do we make a better American for all. Stop crying, stop saying that you're coming. Any kind of safety gun law is not about taking your weapon away. Please stop it.
We reached out to several state Republican lawmakers. None were available for comment. We did get a message from Representative Cedric Hayden's office saying he was disappointed his mental health bill did not pass. It would have funded services for individuals with mental illness. Senator Manning sees the gun violence issue as a separate issue from mental health.
We have an epidemic of hatred here in this country, and guns is the tools. Not every person that have committed these acts are mentally ill. These people have thought these things out. This is malice aforethought. They planned it, they got the resources, and they executed it.
Senator Manning says some gun reform needs to happen on a federal level, specifically banning the sale of military-style weapons. In the wake of the recent mass shootings, the Eugene Police Department wants to remind you, if you see something, say something. The national campaign raises public awareness about the importance of reporting suspicious activity to state and local law enforcement. Eugene Police say you can report any threatening social media post or suspicious conversations you hear to their non-emergency phone line. And from there, the Special Investigations Unit takes over.
What they would do is they would look at the person's criminal history, they would look at the social media and any kinds of posts, and they would also, in some cases, about 90% of the cases, they would make contact with the person.
Eugene's non-emergency phone number will be posted on our website at NBC16.com. McLaughlin says if you're in immediate danger to call 911. On to a first look at weather. NBC 16's meteorologist Travis Knutson joins us now.
Clouds have been seen across central and southern portions of Oregon. A little bit of some thunderstorm activity across Deschutes County, but all evening long, our area has been nice and clear and dry. And as we head through the overnight hours, that will continue to be the case with low temperatures tonight, cooling off to the upper 50s and low 60s for many spots. Tomorrow we'll wake up a little bit gray. It'll take a while for the sunshine to make an appearance for Tuesday, but we do see it in the afternoon hours, at least for the inland areas. But the lack of sunshine results in some cooler weather for tomorrow, mid to upper 80s on the way. Some upper 60s seen for the coast, and we are watching a small opportunity for some rain in the extended forecast. I'll show you when that may pan out. That's coming up here in just a few minutes.
Thank you so much, Travis. The final remaining evacuation notices for the Milepost 97 fire have been lifted. The Douglas County Sheriff's Office says firefighting efforts have been successful and the risk of residential structures is greatly reduced. However, DCSO says everyone should have an evacuation plan in place. The fire currently stands at 55% containment and has burned just over 13,100 acres. Mop-up efforts are expected to continue over the next several days. New rules now are in place that are aimed at stopping those annoying robocalls. Meredith Wood has more in today's Consumer Watch.
It's the biggest consumer complaint made to the Federal Communications Commission. Unwanted calls. Now new rules close a loophole in the law that had prevented the FCC from going after scammers, those sending spoofed text messages and those overseas making spoofed calls to Americans. It was already unlawful to transmit misleading or inaccurate caller ID information with a criminal intent. The new rules extend to text messages, calls from outside the United States to those within the U.S., and additional types of voice calls. According to the FCC, foreign robocallers often use caller ID spoofing, making it appear that their phone number matches a trusted organization they claim to represent. Pressure tactics can then be used to defraud Americans out of money and personal information. The new rules prohibit such malicious spoofing and allow the FCC to bring enforcement actions against those who spoof text messages and those who seek to victimize Americans from overseas. In 2018, the commission says it used the largest fines in its history for those who violate the caller ID spoofing rules. For today's Consumer Watch, I'm Meredith Wood.
Coming up next on NBC 16 News at 11, Myrtle Creek is going green with a new electric car charging station. Plus, the Roseburg School District wants to hear from you by having listening sessions, helping maximize your child's educational experience.
Tomorrow on NBC 16 Today.
Wake up with us Tuesday.
News at 11.
An Amtrak train was delayed close to 5 hours yesterday after a passenger reportedly threatened to harm himself and others on board. Now a passenger on that train says Amtrak should consider more security measures. The Klamath County Sheriff's Office says 25-year-old Mason Lira was arrested and charged with disorderly conduct and interfering with public transportation. Paula Alford was a passenger on the train and tells us it was a terrifying experience. Though officials say no weapons were found, she's calling for security changes.
Why couldn't just anybody walk onto an Amtrak? Nobody checks bags, no metal detectors. I think they need to put up metal detectors. I really do.
The train stopped at Odell Lake near Shelter Cove for about 5 hours. Authorities say no one was hurt in the incident. The Barger project is underway in West Eugene, aiming to make the corridor safer with better traffic flow. The city is revamping the area to give the corridor a more welcoming look, all while reducing the number of conflict points for vehicles and bicyclists. Katie Marwitz with the city says the Eagle Hollow intersection will see fewer through traffic lanes, different bike path locations, and stormwater treatment facilities to collect water on the sides of the roads.
We're not only rehabilitating the street surface, but we're making a number of changes to improve the look, feel, and safety for all of the users in this super busy corridor.
The project cost about $2 million. Marwitz says the money comes in from part from leftover funds from the 2008 bond measure as well as stormwater funds. She says construction will wrap up around October, but the sidewalks will be finished in time for the start of the school year. The city of Myrtle Creek is making it easier for drivers to charge their electric vehicles. The city got about $15,000 from Pacific Power for an electric vehicle charging station project. One station with 2 ports will be installed near Creekside Park.
You have these distances between charging stations, and I think it's from Roseburg to Canyonville. You got a dead spot right here. So it's important for the travelers that we provide a place they can stop and charge a vehicle.
He expects to have the station installed and ready to go by the end of this year. The Coquille School District is working to get a new schoolhouse open. NBC 16's Lauren Negretti reports.
The building is getting all the upgrades it needs to be Coquille's alternative Winter Lakes High School. It's a hybrid program with 400 kids from 18 Oregon school districts online and many homeless youth on site.
The vast majority of our homeless population throughout the district attends Winter Lakes. We've built a shower, we've built a laundry room. We want to take care of their physical needs as well as their educational needs. We've also built a counseling center here. We want to take care of their emotional needs as well.
A school-based health center is only part of the discussion.
We're talking about being open 13 hours a day from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. so that students that are homeless or have no other places to really be have a safe place.
He says it's the vision of Principal Tony Jones, who encountered students outside school on a cold morning last October.
It was 2 of his students huddled under a blanket waiting for school to open because they had nowhere else to be, and they were cold They spent the night there, and we don't want that happening.
Sweeney says the back property is for Coquille High's Career and Technical Education program. A student courtyard will be added, and the first cosmetology program south of Salem. Due to winter storms, the superintendent says the opening will be delayed to either November or January. Reporting in Coos County, I'm Lauren Negretti.
The new superintendent for Roseburg Schools wants to hear from you. The district is holding additional community listening sessions, and you can share your thoughts about the district, what you would like to see in the future, and what you think kids need to be successful.
People were really, really grateful for an opportunity just to interact. It wasn't directed, and so it's pretty authentic. It's us just trying to better understand where people are at.
Corden says he wants to create a report with feedback from the community to fund and support future projects. The Roseburg School District's next listening session is set for Tuesday, starting at 11 a.m. at Elmer's Restaurant in Roseburg. Turning to weather now, NBC 16's meteorologist Travis Knutson is standing by for a look at what's coming up in your full forecast. Hey, Travis.
We start our Tuesday off with a little bit of cloud cover overhead and temperatures in the lower 60-degree range, but warming up to the mid-80s as sunshine shows up in the afternoon. But we have a big change headed our way. I'll tell you about it coming up in just a minute.
Rufus decided to buy bags and mix his own concrete. Randy.
Meteorologist Travis Knutson.
The Pacific Northwest in general is in need of some moisture, and for our region specifically, we certainly could use a little bit of rain as well. Here's a look at the last time we saw some rain in Eugene, Roseburg, or Coos Bay. Basically, it was either the 18th of July or the 17th of July, so 19 or 20 days ago, and even then, it wasn't a significant amount of rain. Now, we do have a chance coming into Friday and the upcoming weekend when some rain may make an appearance in our area, but even then, it doesn't look like a substantial amount of moisture, just really a couple of raindrops for the area. And so here's a look at that drought monitor around the region. Down Eugene southward, certainly seeing dry conditions. Junction City northward already under some moderate drought, and this has been spreading southward as we progress throughout the summer, likely to do so as in general the forecast is certainly a lot more dry than it is wet. But we do have a high pressure center around the Four Corners area. You can see clouds rotating around in a clockwise fashion. There's also a storm system, not the most traditional storm system, but an upper level low, basically a storm higher up in the atmosphere. And together, these two pressure centers have set up the jet stream to come at us from the south, which is bringing in some warm air. That's why the weekend was so nice and so warm. What eventually happens very, very slowly is this storm system up to the north will start to slide its way into northern California, coming at us from a southwesterly direction. And some of the cool air riding along with it, that will move in as well. And because this storm is approaching us from the southwest, which is kind of uncommon during the summer, we have a little bit more of a heightened opportunity for some rain with its arrival, which is Friday evening into Saturday. So up until then, still very dry, but we will have a lot of cloud cover overhead. Here's a look at our model forecast into tomorrow morning. This is 8 a.m. where you'll notice a lot of clouds around the region. We wake up gray for the next couple of days. Sunshine does show up for the afternoon hours at 2 o'clock, starting to see some sun for the Umpqua Valley and the Willamette Valley. Still a bit cloudy on the coast, but then as we get into our Wednesday morning, those clouds return once again, and each and every day the clouds linger a little bit later in the afternoon than the day before, and as a result, temperatures are a bit cooler. But here's a look at what we're facing for the Willamette Valley tomorrow. 87 in Albany, no tie, seeing a daytime high tomorrow afternoon of 84. 7-day forecast for the Eugene-Springfield area. We continue to see those temperatures cooling down to the low 80s and upper 70s, with clouds becoming more common each and every day. Rain chances Friday into Saturday aren't amazing, but it looks like we have a decent shot at picking up a little bit of moisture as we get into the end of the week and the upcoming weekend. For the coast, mid to upper 60s on the way. Bandon at 68 degrees. Port Orford seeing a daytime high of 69. Extended forecast here for the coast, pretty cloudy, while the inland valley should pick up some sunshine in the afternoon hours. That doesn't happen too much for the coast, so gray skies will be the name of the game for the work week and even as we head into the upcoming weekend. For the Umpqua Valley, mid to upper 80s on the way for daytime temperatures on Tuesday. Drain seeing an afternoon high of 85 degrees. Roseburg warming up to 88 degrees tomorrow, but we continue that downward slide to 78 degrees by Saturday. Clouds common in the morning, sunshine for the afternoon. Rain chances not too high at this point, but Friday into Saturday looks to be the highest opportunity for rain we've seen around western Oregon in quite some time.
There's such good people all around us. People who...
Sports Desk is brought to you by Three Rivers Casino Resort.
We know sixth-year senior Jake Luton and sophomore transfer Tristan Gebbia are still competing for that starting quarterback job at Oregon State, which left third-string quarterback Jack Coletto reconsidering his role. The junior made it clear to head coach Jonathan Smith he wanted to be on the football field this season and help the team any way he can. Now, the door hasn't been completely closed on his OSU quarterback career, but the 6'3", 224-pound junior did spend the first 3 days of preseason camp exclusively practicing with the inside linebacker group.
It was kind of mutual. You know, he'd been thinking about it. I mean, he saw those two guys that were kind of in front of him, and with Jack's skill set, I thought he could present some things, especially starting with special teams, but then linebacker, and actually through 4 practices, the guys, he's looked pretty good at linebacker. So the more reps he gets, the better he'll go. But also, we want him to be able to use a little bit at quarterback if needs be. It says a ton. You know, he's a great teammate. He's all about the team and whatever's best for the team. I think also he wants to play, and he feels like he can contribute to the team at linebacker. So it says a ton about him.
The Beavers have also added depth on special teams. Kicker Jake Scarton from Pittsburgh is transferring to Oregon State. He'll be eligible to play immediately at OSU. Another big change for the Beavs heading into 2019. They'll be without redshirt senior Jeremy Reichner, who sustained an ACL injury in Saturday's practice. Reichner also injured his foot during fall camp last season, and after surgery only played in 5 games for the Beavers. He will miss all of 2019, and it's unclear if he'll look for a 6th year of eligibility.
It's one of the worst parts of the game, you know, being physical, because he's a great kid. He's worked really hard, and so yeah, we're surrounding him. He's got a bunch of teammates to support him, but it's definitely tough.
In the 5 games Reichner did play in 2018, he was credited with 5 tackles, 4 solo, with 1 for a loss. Oregon football will play Auburn in its first game of the season, and the Tigers may be without one of their leading receivers in that matchup. Sophomore Anthony Schwartz broke his hand over the weekend and had surgery to repair the bone today. Schwartz is one of the fastest players in college football. He also runs track, and he scored 5 total touchdowns last year, totaling over 560 yards. Auburn head coach Gus Malzahn meets with the media Tuesday and should give a timetable for Schwartz's absence then. ESPN's preseason power rankings are now out. The top 3 include Clemson, Alabama, and Georgia. Meanwhile, Oregon is ranked 11th, just a few spots above Washington at 14th. ESPN has Oklahoma at 4, Ohio State at 5, Michigan at 6, LSU 7, and Notre Dame at 8. Utah is actually ranked ahead of Washington at 13, and Stanford is ranked 20th. Oregon's first opponent, Auburn, comes in at 16 in these preseason rankings. That's it for sports. Back to you.
Coming up next on NBC 16 News at 11, some people pay to swim with the sharks, but beachgoers in South Carolina may have gotten a little more than what they bargained for.
And Doug.
On the shoreline in South Carolina today, feeding on fish. Now, lifeguards made everyone go out of the beach because they were so close, and they left people out of the water for about 2 hours to make sure that the coast was clear. But yes, that's way too close for comfort just to go to the beach. But thanks for watching NBC 16 News at 11.
Make a Dunkin' run for a $2 pick-me-up and avoid the afternoon drive.